Over time, college football has made a graveyard of forgotten players. Guys who once dominated. Now, their legacies are buried in the sands of time. For some of them, their teams have never been the same without them. These are the forgotten stories of college football's finest. Really quickly, I gotta give a shout out to my sponsor, SeatGeek. If you guys are planning on going to any games or events this year, just use the app SeatGeek. I know I'm trying to go to a few NFL games this year, so I'm definitely using it. SeatGeek is an app that puts tickets from all over the web in a single place, making the whole buying experience simple. They rate these deals on a scale of 1 to 100, with the higher the number, the better the deal. And if you use my promo code KTO, you will get $20 off your first purchase. So I'm going to drop the link in the description. Honestly, you might as well just get the app just in case. You don't want to lose out on cheap tickets. Anyways, let's get back into the video and jump into this list. Number 1. If you look at the Hawaii Warriors over the last 20 years, their football team has been mostly mediocre. In that 20-year span, they've been to 9 bowl games. The Hawaii Bowl, Hawaii Bowl, Hawaii Bowl, it goes on. Oh look, something different, the Oahu Classic. But there is one game that stands out from the rest, and is much sweeter. The Sugar Bowl, 2007. The year that Hawaii, who lost more than they won in the last 20 years, capped off a 2-year run where they went 23-4, all led by walk-on quarterback Colt Brennan. To be fair, head coach June Jones changed everything. During his time as head coach, they developed a deadly offense, aka the run and shoot. First with Timmy Chang, then with Colt Brennan. Colt Brennan has one of the most unbelievable single season stat lines ever. So in 2006, he had a 72.6% completion percentage, passed for over 5,500 yards, and 58 passing touchdowns. The yards are 5th in college football history, and the 58 touchdowns is number 1 all time. Since he played 14 games that season, he averaged at least 4 touchdowns a game. BJ Simmons from Texas Tech in 2003 put up pretty similar numbers, but he wasn't near as efficient, nor was his team really any good. With these sensational numbers, Colt Brennan put Hawaii in serious BCS contention for the 07 season. It's pretty crazy how fast Colt Brennan brought them to the top. But what's even more crazy was his journey there. He originally attended the same high school as Matt Leinart, and after high school, he walked on to play for Colorado. But throughout his freshman year, he was dismissed due to an accusation of unlawful sexual contact. And after Colorado kicked him out of school, he ended up going to a junior college, which then he played well enough to earn a scholarship to San Jose State. But after he got a call from June Jones in Hawaii, he passed up on a scholarship to walk on at Hawaii. And after that, the rest was history. This just goes to show you that you don't always have to chase the money. So back to 2007. With a relatively easy schedule, there was one game that would determine everything. In their last 6 matchups with Boise State, they had lost every single one. So if they got past this game, they could pretty much coast to a BCS Bowl.
The biggest football game in the history of the Western Athletic Conference. 2 teams playing for the conference title, playing to remain alive with a chance at a BCS Bowl game.
Under 6 minutes to go in the half. There's a strike by Brennan inside the 5. Touchdown, Devon. All right, Quinn, thank you. He swings it out in the left flat to Devon. Biss, run after the catch. Leap into the end zone. 5'10", 190 pounds. Brennan forced to step up, wings it deep, man behind the defense. Touchdown, C.J. Hawthorne. The Hawaii Warriors, for the first time in the history of the program, are outright WAC champions.
Colt Brennan put up almost 500 yards and 5 touchdowns in that game. From 2002 to 2010, Boise State finished or tied for first in the WAC every single season, except for 2007. This would be the most glorious moment of Colt Brennan's career. He ultimately came up short in the Heisman Trophy race to Tim Tebow. And for the Sugar Bowl, well, it went as badly as it possibly could have. And just like that, June Jones was gone, and Colt Brennan had graduated. Hawaii would no longer be relevant. After June Jones told Brennan he would be the top quarterback selected, he would end up being the 10th quarterback selected in the 2008 NFL Draft. Then all of a sudden, he proved everyone wrong in the preseason. And after the best preseason among rookie quarterbacks, he never really got a chance. He tore his hamstring the next season, and then was later cut in 2010. And according to Pro Football Reference, he never even played a down in a regular season game. Guys like Dak Prescott should be thankful, because Brennan did the same thing as him in the preseason. He just didn't have the same opportunity in actual games to prove himself. Number 2, 2008. That marks the year one of the most bizarre scenarios could ever determine a winner. The champion of the Big 12 South Division couldn't be decided with 4 tiebreakers. It ended up being a 3-team race. 2 teams were expected, and 1 was out of the ordinary. Not to say Texas Tech was bad. Under Mike Leach, they were good every single year. They even had a couple Cotton Bowls. But Texas and Oklahoma both had BCS Bowl and national title appearances over the last decade. Plus, Texas Tech hadn't won 10 games in a season since 1976. But everything was about to change. Going into 2008, Graham Harrell was already one of the most prolific passers in NCAA history. For the entirety of his career, he has quite a few NCAA records. But this one to me is the most insane. In 2007, in a 13-game season, he passed for at least 400 yards 11 times. His worst game yards-wise was 338 yards. And then I checked the game log. He actually sat from the middle of the third quarter. Okay, to be fair, he had Michael Crabtree, who was pretty unreal in college. That season, Harrell passed for just over 5,700 yards. And to me, this is the best part. He is second on the all-time Division I list, only to another Texas Tech quarterback. The difference between the two was Graham Harrell had a chance at a national title. To start the 2008 season, these 3 teams, all from the same division, were ranked number 4, number 11, and number 12. 2 of them were bound to slip up. I mean, they all played each other anyway. By week 6, they were all still undefeated, but we had our first matchup, Texas and Oklahoma. In a shootout, Texas came out victorious, so the Longhorns controlled their own destiny. Now, it was Texas Tech's turn.
Conservative in the end zone, safety. Snap, picks it up, got a man wide open, touchdown. Steps up, intercepted, picked off by Charbonnet, and Charbonnet scores. I love it. Got a man open, got him.
After Texas made a heroic comeback, Texas Tech should have sealed their fate with this tragic miscue. If only he would have caught possibly the easiest interception of all time, this wouldn't have happened.
The throw goes to the right side for Crabtree. It's caught. He breaks.
Oh, he's the worst.
Touchdown, Red Raiders.
Unbelievable.
Touchdown, Red Raiders. Michael Crabtree has done it.
The clock still had 1 second left. Fans stormed the field. Field goal posts were taken down. They got so many unsportsmanlike penalties, they kicked off from their own 7.5-yard line. It was absolute chaos. Now, Texas Tech controlled their own destiny. After a big win against Okie State, they just now had to get past Oklahoma. Right from the start, it was a murder. Oklahoma crushed them. So what now? At the end of this season, they all finished 11-1. The 3-way tie broke the system. From the Big 12 procedures to determine tiebreakers, they had to bypass the first 4 tiebreakers. So the Big 12 decided that the 5th tiebreaker would go to whoever had the highest BCS ranking. Since Oklahoma lost earlier in the season, they got the nod and won the Big 12 South title. This decision will forever haunt the other 2 teams. Just to show how dominant this South Division was, Oklahoma won the Big 12 championship by over 40 points. But that's when they ran into Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow. Graham Harrell's video game-like stats and finishing his career with 8 NCAA records apparently weren't enough to impress NFL scouts. He didn't even get drafted. He played a week at Brown's minicamp and then wasn't signed. But after a year in the CFL, he ended up being the backup to Aaron Rodgers when they won the Super Bowl. So he actually does have a ring. To look back at the Heisman Trophy finish in 2008, 4 of the top 5 finishers were from the Big 12 South. Now, that's insanity. Number 3. Now, before West Virginia was led by Geno Smith and his mix of stars that included guys like Tavon Austin and Bailey, there were the glory days of Pat White. You want to see a quarterback lay a vicious block?
Reverses field, here's his speed on display. Gets a block. And turns.
If any of you played Madden 04 and remember how dominant Michael Vick and Warwick Dunn were, the NCAA football 07 to 09 version was Pat White with Steve Slayton or Noel Devine, and I'm talking completely unfair. I actually found some pretty funny forums to describe what this team was like this one I found from 10 years ago. People who use this team don't even like the team. They only use the team for their fast quarterback and running back. People like this really aggravate me. These people take all the enjoyment out of the game. I must have played 5 people last night, and 4 of them used West Virginia. And then the one right under that, if you play as West Virginia and lose, then quit the game. West Virginia has got to be the easiest team to use. So basically, using West Virginia in NCAA 08 is like the guy that uses the Warriors in 2K. Pat White was as great of an athlete at quarterback as they come. The prime years for Pat White and the Mountaineers were from 2005 to 2007. In 2005, Pat White and Steve Slayton combined nearly 3,000 rushing yards, and they quickly became a major threat in the college football world when they beat number 8 Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. With 2 crucial losses in 2006, Pat White once again delivered a message in the bowl game. So the year was 2007. Ranked number 3 to start the year, even with a slight hiccup mid-season, they started crushing ranked teams. They ended up working their way to number 2 with 1 game remaining on the schedule. That game was against Pittsburgh.
Pitt losing its quarterback and its best receiver at the start of the season sort of set the tone for everything. They still have talent. The question is, do they have a shot tonight? Wide left. I think that got in his head a little bit. He missed a chip shot for 20. My gosh, he missed another. Are you kidding?
Early in the second quarter, with Pat White suffering a small injury, things began to unravel right before their eyes.
Safety blitz. This time they might rush 3 and drop 8. Looks like they'll come with 3. Now they show blitz and come. White lost the ball.
This game would become known as 13-9, and the aftermath was devastating. It cost the Mountaineers a chance at their first national title, and also their head coach Rich Rodriguez ended up leaving for Michigan after the loss. If they would have been playing in the national title, he may have stayed. I also found something else pretty interesting. West Virginia had several football recruits that were visiting at the time, but by the end of the game, they were cheering with Pittsburgh on their sideline. And after the game, several of the recruits decided to play for Pittsburgh over West Virginia. In a lashing out of anger, West Virginia throttled Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl, again leaving unanswered questions on the table. Could they have won a national title that season? Pat White's pro career was forgettable. He was a second-round pick that didn't even last 2 years in the league. This play right here pretty much represents his time in the NFL. But this doesn't take away from how unbelievably versatile and scary that West Virginia offense was. It just goes to show you, no matter how unsinkable the ship may seem, there's always a chance you will run into an iceberg.
Dave Wannstedt that is going to send 60,000 plus home, not believing what they just saw.